again, this is all NRC regulations, and also something that's mentioned in the Steve's. Okay, wearing the lab coats. Okay, y'all wear lab coats, right?
Some hospitals don't allow you to wear lab coat home or bring lab coat home.
You can show them this, and if they want to argue with the state, that's... See, you guys are supposed to wear something that covers you, your arms down to your waist.
But after you finish your clinical or work, they want you to leave your lab coat back in the department.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you should be taking this stuff home and washing it, like, you know, at least every couple of days. Oh yeah.
When I was at St. Agnes, they told me that the laws had changed and they didn't have to wear lab coats anymore. So nobody wore a lab coat.
Wow, well, you know, they better look at the radioactive material license, because that's where this came from.
Right, well, and one of the techs and me were the only ones that would wear it, and the tech that would wear it, she was putting it in the, whatever, the IV port, the HEPA, whatever, and it wasn't in right, and when she squirted it in, it went on her, right on her jacket, so she got to take her jacket off and didn't have to, you know, change clothes or anything like that. So it's good that they wear it, because you never know when it can spill.
Well, and you know, I hate to say it, my daughter got blasted with FDG because she was using an IV that somebody else started. My suggestion to everybody, try some saline, you know, inject some saline through it before you inject your stuff, because I told her, I said, you know, I never told you to just go ahead and inject it, you know, even if they just came right off the CT scan. Just make sure that, you know. But anyway, you know, whatever they want to argue, you know, if they look at the radioactive material license, and this is stuff that they have. They have the double gloves, or disposable gloves, monitoring hands, clothing, and shoes at the end of leaving the department, syringe shields, do not eat, drink, or smoke, or apply cosmetics where stuff is used. One of the stupidest things I've ever seen is people that eat and they put their dishes in the trash in the nuclear medicine department. One of the first things the inspectors look at are your trash cans, because if they see like a Twinkies wrapper in there, or a bottle of water, or anything like that, you're burned. You know, nobody's going to believe that you did not eat or drink in the department.
I thought that was only in the hot lab.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In the department.
Because
the lab.
Our department, when patients come back from the stress test, we give them cracker and drink.
Well, that's okay for them, but not for you.
Yeah, but how do they know if it's from us or from the patients?
Then you better have a very good explanation. You better say in your procedure manual that, you know, after a patient comes back from the stress treadmill, we give them a couple of crackers and a bottle of water, because otherwise, you know, if I'm an inspector, I'm not going to believe you.
Well, because we always have 2 boxes of crackers and then, you know, bottles of drinks there.
So just make sure they're not anywhere near, because this is what it says here: do not eat, drink, smoke where radioactive material is used or stored. So I mean, if it's somewhere in an area away from there. Now, if you're injecting out in the room, which most of us do, that's where it's being used. So you cannot eat in there. You cannot have food in there. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay. It says, do not store it with radioactive materials. Remember I told you, in my nuclear medicine department, I had a group of students, X-ray students, and they said, oh, look at this, there's a refrigerator in this department. Yeah, I'm sitting there, holy, you know, I came in there, I opened up my refrigerator, and here's all of these people's lunches. What? Yeah.
In the hot lab?
In my hot lab, yeah. Well, first of all, I don't know who let him in the hot lab. I think the secretary let him in the hot lab, because they said, oh, we need a place to put our lunches. So the secretary said, well, I think they have a refrigerator in nuclear medicine. Why don't you use it? Yeah, so they did.
That's only for medicine.
Now, and it just so happened there was a day when the state inspector was coming.
Oh.
So I moved all that stuff out of there. And sure enough, while the inspector's in my hot lab, one of the students comes in and says, hey, where's my lunch? Oh, I was so pissed.
It's in the fume hood.
Yeah, we can't hide it. The personnel monitoring devices, we'll talk about these. We don't use film badges anymore. Well, I think Loma Linda was one of the last holdouts, but now you guys are using the
TLD.
Luxell badges, right?
My hospital they use 2 rings instead of 1 because they kind of, you know, you can, whatever, instead of 1.
Yeah, well, at most, if you do, then you have a right finger ring and a left finger ring, and do all of you know how to wear it properly? Mr. Singh, how do you wear your film ring?
The hand again.
I think you can wear it on any of your fingers, but the film must face on your palm.
Y'all agree with that?
Huh?
What it says is that you have to wear it on the index finger of your dominant hand facing towards the palm. So in other words, it has to be upside down, facing it. I'm just telling you how it's supposed to be worn.
Oh, that's how it should be.
Yeah, but if you have 2 finger rings, then you have to make sure you put the right one on the right one and the left one on the left one.
They never indicate the left or the right. They just.
It's on the ring. It'll have a R and an L.
Has to go on the index finger?
It has to go on the index finger of the dominant hand,
So the
facing towards the palm.
sticker would face inside.
Yeah, because that's where you're handling the radioactive material.
I
Okay?
have a question.
Yeah.
Does it make a difference if you wear your ring on your index finger or your ring finger? Does it make
Yeah,
any
just
difference?
say right.
Yes. According to what they state, you're supposed to wear it on the index finger of your dominant hand. So it has to go around your second digit.
That is so uncomfortable. Would it be a difference if it was on our
Yeah,
finger of our
The
dominant
white
hand? The
piece.
ring
Oh, I
finger?
knew that.
I'm not sure. They're just trying to standardize it. I'm sure. I don't know if it would make a difference or not, but
I know how it could be
I know
a
it's one
difference if
here,
it was on the other hand.
yeah.
Once again.
Yeah, but those fingers right next to each other, I don't think it would make any difference.
It's just so uncomfortable.
Well, normally, if you're holding a syringe,
Mm-hmm.
with your index finger is going to probably be getting the higher dose, because if your ring finger is going to be more shielded than unless you're not using a syringe shield at all, which if you are, then you should be spanked.
Yeah,
I know.
If you aren't, right?
If you're not
If
using
you're
it,
using it, you should be.
well, this is a Nalara issue. A Nalara issue. You should use either a butterfly or an angiocath with tubing, so that you can, get the IV all situated, and you can inject and you can flush and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah,
Straight
don't-
stick.
Yeah, don't straight stick.
I see some other tech, not my hospital, but other hospital, they don't use a syringe shield. They
Yeah.
say by the time you
Their
put
fingers
the
are like this,
syringe
right?
there, no. But they say by the time you put the syringe, then you twist around, you have a lot of radiation on your fingers already. Mine away, just quickly inject and get over with. Don't ask
Because
me
if
which
you have a
hospital.
hard time finding a vein and
No, the syringe shield.
Well, I'm just saying
I like
that
the way
you're
IVs.
probably less likely to have infiltration if you use an angiocath and a tubing and things like that. I know we do that for contrast. Well, it's a lot more expensive to do that. Yeah, direct stick. My hospital would love me if I did direct sticks. I'd save them. I think they charge quite a bit for those too, the tubing. But and I'm just saying that you got to be very, very careful with. You're going to be doing this for a long time, and you really, like I said, you don't want to be having your fingers cut off because of skin cancers and bone cancers and things like that. That's what killed Clarence Daly.
Yeah.
All these guys. There's a couple of other. This Edmund Germain. He died from. I think he died from leukemia. But they had this other guy who was like the father of radiation therapy. That guy, they sliced him like a salami. He had like over 32 operations. Very, very painful cancer. But anyway. So the thing is, okay, we use Luxell badges, and any time you're likely to receive 1/10 of an occupational dose, you're supposed to have a badge for some type of radiation monitoring device. Disposal of radioactive waste. Again, we have several options. We have decay Yeah, in the background, the sewer system. We have incineration, release into the atmosphere. And that's what we used to do with xenon. I used to go up on the roof on the 5th floor and just open the bag and yell, "You're free!" Yeah. So, poor people down below, though, the third eye growing out of their forehead and stuff. Okay.
Well, it's heavier than air.
Oh yeah, it's heavier than air. That's a good thing about radon too, but that's why if you have a basement, and especially if you have a basement with a lot of concrete blocks, you have very high radon levels in there. So there's a limit of 4 picocuries per liter of air. Yeah. How big is a picocurie?
10 to the 12.
Yeah, 10 to the minus 12 curies. So it's a trillionth of a curie. Okay, then this is good old stuff here. This is a good one here. Confining radioactive solutions covered and identified and labeled. One of the things you might want to do is go through your department and see how many unlabeled vials you have, or expired solutions you have. That's kind of a fun little thing to do. I wouldn't point it out to the director though, because then they might get a little bit of an attitude with you. But it's a good idea to do that. You guys all label your doses with the patient's name? Sometimes. I remember the radio pharmacies used to ask, who's the patient that this is scheduled for.
Now they do.
Yeah.
They started now too.
Yeah. Well, they did that for a while, but see, I used to order a couple of unit doses for bone scans that might come in later that day, and I didn't have a name for them, so they used to have like per doctor request or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Per
They did
doctor
that.
order.
Assaying. Now, an assay, if you guys have unit doses, you're not necessarily required to do an assay, but I think most people still do. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do that.
Areas. Now, all of these things have to be posted somewhere in your department. The area surveys. Note says all elution preparation and injection areas are surveyed daily with a GM survey meter, decontaminated if necessary. Laboratory areas where small quantities of radioactive materials are surveyed monthly. That's very rare. That's mostly like a research area. Okay. All lab areas will be surveyed weekly. You guys have all done this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Weekly, monthly surveys will consist of the with your GM meter, and then wipe testing. You guys doing wipe tests. And so a series of wipe tests measure contamination. The method of performing the wipe test will be sufficiently sensitive to detect 2,000 dpm per 100 centimeters squared. Remember I told you that, and this is mainly, it's basically 22 disintegrations per minute per centimeter squared. Okay, anything above that is contaminated. So that's why it's important when you're wiping down an area that's contaminated, you identify how large it is, because it may not be contaminated. If you wipe it down and there's some activity on it, so long as it's less than 22 dpm, you're okay. And remember, what's the difference between CPM and DPM?
DPM takes account the efficiency of the detector.
Okay, so what's going to be higher? Let me ask, Ashley, what's going to be higher, CPM reading or DPM reading? Mr. Singh, what's going to be higher, CPM or DPM?
DPM.
Okay, DPM. Because remember, CPM does not take into account the efficiency of the detector. So it's CPM divided by the efficiency of the detector for that. Okay. Permanent records, including negative results, shall include, and then I think if you saw the information that I gave you on my survey thing. How long do I have to keep these records, by the way?
2 years.
3 years. How long do I have to keep your radiation dosimetry records?
Forever.
Yeah, forever. Or basically what they state is as long as you have a radioactive material license. So as soon as you don't have a license anymore, you can throw them out, and that way you don't have to tell the people that they're going to die in 6 months.
Or unless you're dead. No?
Yeah. Well, even if you're dead, they still have to keep them. Don't ask me, man. Did you hear that they think Yasser Arafat was murdered? And that's not a joke. They think they killed him with 210 polonium. It's like they killed that other the Israeli spies killed somebody with it. Good stuff. Okay. Now the other thing is I put down over here, you know, with most radiopharmaceuticals, it's 2,000, or it's, you know, it's 22 dpm per centimeter squared. For iodine, it's 1/10 of that. So iodine, because it's potentially more likely to get into areas that you don't want it to get into, and because it's volatile, they have a much lower threshold for decontamination of that. Okay. Emergency procedures that you have to have, and again, this is also mentioned in Steve's. Okay. In fact, one of the sections here in the Ann Steve's book I sent this thing off. You guys like the last page of the handout talks about spills. The second to last page. Yeah. On the board exams, they ask you about what constitutes a major spill and a minor spill. And basically, it's the quantity in the radionuclide. This is on the second to the last page, but spill procedures. Handle as follows: notify people in the vicinity, contain the spill by putting a chuck over it. If clothing becomes contaminated, remove it before leaving the site. Okay, so but basically, so this is what they consider a small spill. Okay, large spill, and again, this is what constitutes a major spill. These levels of activity. Okay.
So if you get spill on your hand and you wash with soap and warm water, but it's not fully.
Some of it get absorbed.
Well, it might, but
And
the
then,
thing is that, you know, if you get this stuff on you, sometimes you're not going to get. Do you have radiac wash where you are?
You're not supposed to use it on your skin.
Yeah, it's pretty rough on it. If you use it on your skin, it kind of tears it up a little bit. But the thing is, I mean, I've used it on me, and then I wash it off with soap and water. But remember that radiac wash is a chelate. And technetium, or most of our stuff, likes chelates. I mean, that's what it binds to. But the problem is, you know, if you have cuts or anything on your skin, then you know, you're going to have some issues. Anyway, why don't you guys go grab some lunch? When we come back, we'll go through some more fun stuff here.